Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to show you how to make this simple dress. I'll be using my pattern paper. We'll cut the back first and then we'll use the same pattern to cut the front. This is my baseline. Then from here to here, this line, I have 40 inches. So the length of the dress is going to be 40 inches, right? From here to here, I have my arm side divided by 2. Mine is 19 divided by 2, so I have 9.5 here. And then from here, the shoulder line to here is my back waist, which is 15 inches. So if you would notice, I have dots here. So this dot from the shoulder line to this dot is my front waist, which is 16.5. Now to start, I'll measure my shoulder. My shoulder is 15 inches. 15 divided by 2, I have 7.5. For my bust line, my bust is 38 inches. 38 divided by 4, that is 9.5. So because of the design of the dress, I'll deduct 2.5 from 9.5. That means I'm going to have 7 inches. So I'll mark 7 inches here. On my waistline, my waist is 34 divided by 4, I have 8.5. 8.5 minus 2.5, I have 6 inches. I'm just going to blend here. Now this is my line. For the end line, I'll measure my hips measurement divided by 4. Now I'll join this to this. So this is the bust line. This is the waistline. For the hem, I'll go up by about 1 inch and curve it inward. For the neckline, my neck width, I'll use 3.75 inches. And for the neck depth, for the back, I'll use 1.5. And for the front, I will use 4 inches. For the shoulder slant, I'll measure 0.75 inches. And I'll join this to this. Now I can cut the back pattern. I'll cut it this way. Back neckline. I'll use this pattern to cut on my fabric. I have cut the back pattern. I notched here, which is the bust line, and here, the waistline. And also, I added 1 inch at the hem for the hem allowance, and I added 0.5 inch at the shoulder, at the neckline, and at the sides. So what I'm going to do next is just to measure down. So I'll be measuring 6 inches to assist with the neck opening. Then I can cut it open from here, the center back up to here. And this is my back pattern and the wrong side of the fabric. So for the adjustments that we have to make for the front pattern, we're going to have a bust dart, all right, so that the front will not just be flat like a pinafore. Here's what you're going to do. If you have your bust span, you divide it by 2 and then you measure. But if you do not have, you can just measure about 3 inches from the center. 3 inches. and then you come down again, measure 1 inch. Now from here, which is the bust line, I'll measure about 2.5 inches downward, 2.5, and I'll draw it to this line. Now remember that the distance between the shoulder to my back waist was 15 inches, and from my shoulder to the front waist is 16.5. 16.5 minus 15, that is 1.5. That means my bust dart is going to be a 1.5 inch intake. So I'm going to measure 1.5 inch upward from this line and connect it to here. So I'll just extend the dart's leg to here. So by the time I hold it in here, I'll have enough allowance to join it. So that is the adjustment for this pattern. So guys, because I have taken a dart intake of 1.5 here, I need to add to the hem of the pattern by the time I'm cutting the front fabric. So I'll just note here that when I'm cutting here, I'll cut 1.5 inches longer, and also I'll add my 1 inch allowance. So invariably 1.5 plus 1, I'll just cut 2.5 inches longer at the hem for the fabric. Now I can cut out the front neckline. So here's the length. I added 2.5 inches downward. Here I notched the bust line, and what I'm notching for the waistline is not going to be this line. Remember, this is the back waistline. I'm notching the 16.5 inch mark that I made, which was the shoulder to the front waistline. You know, by the time I take in this dart, it is going to match up to 15, which is what we have for the back. So I'll notch this. Also, I am going to notch the bust dart, the dart legs for both, so that I'll know where to take in as the bust dart. And then I also had a 0.5 inch all around for the side, shoulder, and the neckline. Also, mark out where the dart will stop. So by the time I'm taking the dart, I know I'm going to take it from the side and stop here. Now I'm going to cut the lining. The lining is going to be the exact same thing except for the length. So the lining will be 1.5 inch shorter than what I have here. Every other thing remains the same. This is the back pattern. I've cut the lining. I also notched all these areas. So I cut these panels as well. 2 of this. So for the one that will be in the bust area, to cover the side of the bust, I have 8.5 inches by 4.5 inches here. So I'll sew at the top here 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. So for the one that is going to be at the waist area, I have 9.5 by 4.5. So it's the same width but different length. This is 8.5 and this is 9.5. So I'll sew this one to 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. So this will be attached to the waist area. This will be attached to the bust area. After this, taking the darts, and remember where we notched. So I'll take it in like this, just like we take in darts, and I'll sew from here, the side to here. At the other side too, I'll do the same, taking the dart and sew up to this point. I'll do the same thing on the lining. So after that, I'm going to put the lining against the fabric, right side facing, just like this, and I'll sew it at the neckline, 0.5 inch, like this. For the back as well, here on the neckline, 0.5 inch, here 0.25 up to this opening, 0.25 like this, then here 0.5 inch. I'll leave the shoulder alone. So I will be putting the button here. I'll need this. This is an elastic. The length of the elastic is 1.5 inches. So I'll fold it into two like this, and then I'll put it here. Okay, on the right side. This is the right side of my main fabric. So I'll put it here on the right side, just at the tip of the neckline. Then I'll cover it with this, the lining, before I sew it, okay? So by the time I'm sewing 0.5, 0.25 up to here, 0.25, okay, I'll be taking in a part of the elastic. So by the time I'm done sewing, it's going to hold this way. I'll do all that and then I'll show you what next to do. Okay guys, so this is the back. So I've sewn it here, here and here and here. Then I also put in the elastic like I mentioned. This is for the bottom, all right? Now I'll understitch on the lining for the neckline to relax. I also notched all these cuff parts. If you see, I notched them. I did the same thing for the front too. I've taken in the darts on both sides. So I'll understitch on the lining, okay, all around the neckline. I'll iron so it can lay flat. And for these ones, I've sewn them. So I will turn them to the right side and I'll also iron them. I have ironed and I have understitched the whole thing. You see this part that we notched for the bust line? I'll take the panel for the bust area, put it on it, make sure it is slant like this, and pin. So I'm pinning to the main fabric, not to the lining. I'll also do that on the other side. So I'll take the one for the waist area, the part where I notched. I'll also pin, right side facing. Now I am going to sew 0.25 inch, same allowance, to this, here and here as well, okay? Just to the top fabric. After doing that, I'm going to sew the shoulder area. I'll open it up like this. Ensure the seams match here. Then I'll sew this way, 0.5 inch. Here as well, seam to seam. Open it up like this. And then I'll sew it to 0.5 inch. Then I'll come back and show you how to join the sides and the hem. Here it is. I have sewn the panels to the sides and I've also sewn the shoulder area here. Now what I'll do next is to sew this and sew it to the back. So open it up like this and fold it like this. Then you also find the notch that you made for the bust line. For the waist one as well. Do the same thing on the other side. After pinning the 4 panels to the main fabric, sew it with a 0.25 inch allowance. At this point, if you do not want a full lining, you're actually done. Just overlock the sides and sew it down. But if you want to do a full lining, come along. We still have a lot of work to do. This is the right side. what I'm going to do next is to sew the hem of the lining to the hem of the dress, the main fabric. I'll turn it this way. The right side of the fabric, facing the right side of the lining. Fold it like this. And sew it at the hem. For this other one, fold it like this as well. Now sew the bottom, the hem. When you turn it over, this is what you get. Now you can just iron it to be flat here. After ironing it, you see that a crease is formed at the hem. So you turn it at that crease. This is the crease, not on the lining, but here, this way. Okay, and then you're going to sew 0.5 inch. You keep turning it with the lining. 0.5 inch. For the other side as well, I'll do the same thing. You see this side has been completely sewn. Now I'll sew this side. Right side of the shoulder facing the right side of the lining. For this part, I'm starting to sew at the shoulder because it is easier to manage that way, and also because I do not want a mismatch between the shoulder of the lining and the shoulder of the main fabric. Then I'll turn it like this. And I'll sew this side straight down. Once you're able to sew one side straight down, what you do next is to pull the last side of the fabric all out from the shoulder and sew straight down. However, leave an allowance of about 5 inches unsewn so that you can use that to turn the whole fabric inside out. So I have finished sewing all the sides. I left a space of about 5 inches, and that it is from there that I'll turn to the right side. Just do it gently. Okay, so here it is. So this is the space that I left for the turning. Now I am going to unstitch here. So this is the result. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you like it, and I hope you enjoy making yours just like I did while making mine. If you have any questions, please ask. See you next time. Bye.